Yeah, lovely. That's great. Thank you. So first of all, I want to thank the conference organisers for the invitation, for the beautiful bubble prompt, the opportunity to participate. It's my first time participating, so I snuck in on the first session last night, which means that I've had a whole sleep and you guys have been going for hours and hours. So impressive. I'm going to share some of my photos and poetry. Eventually, if I have time at the end, I'll speak the poetry, but otherwise I'll just speak about it. So my proposal was in the form of 4 tanka, sketching a simple line between the conference title and 4 of my fragmentary experiences during the 2020 lockdown. I know that for some on the call, lockdown feels much more present than that. For me, I mostly associate it with last year. And these were moments that contained bubbles. And as you can see, I've lined up the poetry with the images that I was also working with. My own 2020 lockdown was boundaried and enhanced and enlivened by being in the process of writing up my doctorate, and then by my viva, and then by my corrections, and finally by my completion. And I don't want to say that without also stating the context, acknowledging that I'm childless with very few caring responsibilities and a partner who likes to cook. I was studying part-time. I was employed in a white-collar job that didn't disappear. I was able to work remotely. I live opposite 2 supermarkets. I have a room that I can use as a study with a door that shuts, so I could be alone and I could be in company. Poetry wasn't where I started in my doctoral work, but it quickly became central to it. It was useful to me in supporting inquiry that tries to look closely at the to and fro between my own subjective life and my apparent social realities, that seeks to remain open to wonder while also cultivating a critical questioning stance. Returning to the bubble image, this was about work that acknowledges, that owns the ephemeral qualities of our lives, experiences, efforts, without despairing about the transient nature of them. My own values are to be as revisionist truthful as I can bear to be, while still having room for delight in the beauty of a sunset, a loving relationship, a well-crafted artwork. So how did poetry show up for me in lockdown? As I've said, it was a year of completing my part-time, self-funded midlife doctorate. This was a doctorate that I started when I'd just woken up to the emerging climate crisis, and I still thought it was basically a big, innocent misunderstanding that could be cleared up by technology. And it was a doctorate during which I reluctantly learned that I needed to question patterns of power and exploitation and to look for my own possible and actual roles in making and sustaining those patterns, sometimes as victim, sometimes as beneficiary. 2020 was a year of taking the artful and embodied research methods that I'd practiced during my doctoral inquiry, walking, photography, collage, poetry, and applying them to explore my shifting sense of boundaries and permissions, provoked by suddenly finding myself in lockdown, reduced to and released into living in the immediacy of one small neighborhood. 2020 was a year of finishing my doctorate while hiding from the global effects of a zoonotic disease that showed, rather than telling, the fragility of our human systems. The illusion of traditional assumptions in much of mainstream Western culture that humans are somehow apart and above, owners not creatures, in some illogical way, not subject to the consequences of actions taken which affect our environment. And so I haven't read the tanka as I've gone. Those were little experiments. At the end of the day, they don't feel. They were my attempts to bring something real onto the page, but but this poem, which is quite newly minted, is much more central to the things I've been trying to explore during this experience. And so I'd like to finish by reading it. So it's Pantoum. When I started walking regularly, it seemed straightforward to me. Town bad, full of litter and darkness. Country good, clean, open and green. It seemed straightforward to me. Town is where humans seal themselves, while country is clean, open, green, where we reconnect with nature. Town, I thought, is where humans hide, pretending we are not nature descended, while country is where humans reconnect, remember our deep sea common origins. We pretend we are not nature descended, easier to hurt a thing you're not part of. In truth, we share life's deep sea origins. Humans are part of nature everywhere. It's easier to hurt a thing you're not part of. But nature's part of town life, no mistake. And humans part of nature everywhere. Life pushes, pulses to exist in every place. Nature's a part of town life, no mistake. Foxes, nettles, squirrels, thieving gulls. Life clings to life. Life pulses to exist. A universe hiding in every drainpipe. Foxes, nettles, squirrels, thieving gulls make lives in town, in amongst the litter. A universe hides under every drainpipe. I see them now, since I started walking. Okay, that's it from me. I'll stop sharing just now.
I lost my mute button. Sorry, that was really nice. Thank you, Paula. Really, as someone who's just finished my PhD and was part-time working full-time, and a lot of things you're talking about resonated. And thank you. It was really nice to hear myself in someone else's voice. It was